Now, all the great scientists we have studied spent years coming up with their new ideas and their new inventions. Many of them spent even more time convincing the world that they were not crazy. This perseverance is necessary, not only in science, but in almost any endeavor worth pursuing. I would like to relate a personal story of persistence. When I finished college, I really wanted to work at a company called Thinking Machines. While it was a very small company, the amazing people there were creating some exciting new technology. So I dressed up, dropped off my resume, and waited for a call. And waited. After a week or so, I called and inquired as to how things were going. I was told that the people who needed to read my resume were really busy, but they would get to it very soon. Well, after a few days, I called again and was politely told the same story. So I started calling every couple of days, always very nicely asking about the status of my application. Finally, after 6 weeks, I got the word. They had looked at my resume and decided that I was not a good fit and would not get an interview. Well, even the most persistent individual has to know when it is time to throw in the towel. Fortunately, I'm not that bright, so while I was still on the phone, I said, "Could I please speak with the person who made that decision? I think someone has made a mistake." I have no idea what made me say that, but I really wanted that job. I was told that that person was busy, but would call me back very soon. As you can probably guess, I didn't get a call. So after a couple of days, I called and again asked to talk to this mysterious career crusher. This went on for another week and a half. Then when I called, I got the message that they had reconsidered and would grant me an interview. I think they just wanted me to stop calling. At the interview, they patiently explained that they were in the business of building new technology and had no idea why a physicist with a newly minted PhD would be of any use. I explained that they should view my degree as an indication that when I started a project, I would work on it until it was truly done, no matter how hard it got. In other words, I explained that I was persistent, as if they hadn't already figured that out. That seemed to do the trick, and I ended up working there for nearly 9 years. If there is a moral to this story, it is to be persistent and not to let anyone get in the way of your dreams. Now, in all our science classes, we learned that science is an incremental process. Each scientist can only make a contribution by learning from the contributions of all the scientists who came before. We also learned to properly cite those whose work we use. So in that spirit, I would like to take a moment and thank some key people who have helped me to be here today. I would like to thank Terry Anthony and the other members of the Class of '07 Graduation Committee for inviting me to bother you for 10 minutes. Thank you, Professor Kleinman, for showing me how to be a scientist. Thank you for Dr. Sikora for being my mentor teacher and for providing the theme of today's talk. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for helping me with my chemistry experiment. Thank you, Mr. Fontana and Mr. DiGiacomo, for supporting me at school. And thank you to my wife, Mariana, for supporting me the rest of the time. Oh, physics? Of course, physics. How could I forget that? Everyone's favorite. In physics, you learned that work equals force times distance. There's a reminder. This means that if you want to accomplish something, work, you need to put in a real effort. That's the force. The D is there to remind us that even if you are trying, if you are not getting anywhere, it's not working. Huh? Yeah, I guess he has a point. We learned that work is really the dot product of force and distance. This means that if it isn't working, don't give up. Just try another angle. Well, what? I guess it's true. In AP physics, we learned that the really super correct definition of work, and what that sign means is that work doesn't get done all at once. It's an incremental process. You have to add up all the little accomplishments you make along the way. Now, in all your science classes, you learned about and you learned how to use the scientific method. This method of asking new questions and trying new ideas is one I hope you apply to many areas of your life. Now, the scientific method does not have an end, but I promise this speech will. So you see, you really did learn what you needed for success in science class. As you go forward in your new life as high school graduates, I hope you will utilize the lessons which I have tried to impart today using a scientific metaphor. Use them to avoid improper labeling. Use them to see the common ingredients in all the diverse people you will soon meet. And use them to keep working towards your goals and towards achieving your dreams. I'd like to close with a quote from Daniel Migliore. Human life ceases to be human, not when we realize we do not have all the answers, but when we stop asking the really important questions. Congratulations, graduates, and thank you for sharing part of your life with me.